What if you never doubted the connection between you and your specific person again? Not for even a second. How would that change your journey? And how would that ease any tension around manifesting the relationship of your dreams? Because the truth is, the energetic connection between you and your specific person is not something that can be broken by any circumstance. It is not dependent on communication. It is not damaged by distance. It does not require their participation to remain intact. Today, I want to show you why, not as some spiritual wishful thinking or comfort food, but as a precise and logical explanation rooted in one of Neville Goddard's most profound and most misunderstood teachings. Because once you truly understand why the connection is always there, once you understand what your SP actually is in relation to your consciousness, everything about how you approach this manifestation will completely change. How you feel about the silence changes, how you relate to distance changes, and most importantly, what you understand you actually need to do to shift what is showing up between you completely changes. This video is going to give you that exact understanding, and it is going to be one of the most clarifying things you've ever heard about manifesting a specific person. So let's go. If you're new here, hello, welcome. I am your Muse, Traci. On this channel, I help you unlock the power you already have but can't access. I help you break through where years of trying has failed. And the biggest hurdle of all, I help you go from intellectually knowing the law to permanently embodying it. I spent years being a good person who couldn't figure out why her life just wasn't reflecting that back to her. When I finally discovered and understood what was actually running the show, that's when everything changed. Now I help people break the patterns keeping them stuck, and I help them start manifesting the love, the money, the joy they've always known they were meant for. So let's get right into it. To understand why you are always energetically connected to your SP, we have to start with one of Neville's most radical and most transformative teachings. Everyone is you pushed out. Now, I want to sit with this for a moment because most people hear this phrase, they nod along, and move on without really understanding the depth of this teaching. And if it doesn't fully land, you'll miss everything else that follows. So let's take a moment. Let's really look at what Neville was saying. He was not saying that other people don't exist. He was not saying that your SP is a figment of your imagination or that they don't have their own inner life. What he was saying is this: the version of your SP that you experience, the way they show up in your reality, meaning what they say to you, how they treat you, whether they are warm or cold, available or distant, loving or withdrawn. That version of them is a direct reflection of your own consciousness, your own blueprint. Not what you want consciously, but what you deeply believe to be true regarding yourself in regards to love and intimate relationships. They are, as Neville put it, you pushed out. Every person in your reality is a mirror, a screen onto which your own inner world, your beliefs, your assumptions, your self-concept, your subconscious blueprint is being projected and played back to you. That is not a metaphor. Neville meant it literally. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything you experience, including every person you experience, is arising within your own awareness. And the specific qualities, behaviors, and responses you consistently encounter in another person are always reflecting something back to you about what you believe at the subconscious level. Your perception of reality creates your reality. This is the exact piece that stays invisible to so many people, and they continue to struggle with SPs specifically because they stay in the illusion of SP is busy, SP lives too far away, SP isn't choosing me, SP is too consumed with work or other projects, and on, and I could go on and on and on and on and on. All the circumstances. All the while, the only thing your SP is actually is a reflection of your own consciousness and what you continue to say about yourself, the other person, and the connection. Let me make this concrete. If your SP consistently shows up as unavailable, that is not just their personality. That is your consciousness projecting onto them the assumption that love is not fully available to you, that you aren't worthy of being shown up for, that you have to wait for it, that it comes and goes, that you are not someone for whom love simply shows up and stays. If your SP runs hot and cold, that is your consciousness projecting the internal conflict you carry between wanting love and believing it isn't safe, between desiring closeness and fearing it, between wanting deep connection and not feeling completely worthy of receiving it. If your SP says all the right things but never quite follows through, that is your consciousness projecting the gap between your conscious desire and your subconscious assumption about what you actually deserve in love. They are reflecting you precisely, without exception, every single time. And this is why Neville said there is no one to change but self, because there is no one out there acting independently of your consciousness. There is only your consciousness and the projection it is casting onto the screen of your reality. So when I first really understood this, not intellectually, but in my body, it was both humbling and extraordinarily liberating because it meant I was never actually powerless in any of my relationships. The version of love I was experiencing was always showing me something about what I believed, and beliefs can change. And I started to see the 3D as showing me a piece of me rather than being a victim to it. And this is easy to say, but something completely different to act from. So take a moment, pause, and ask yourself if you're able to actually act from this knowing. Now, here's where everything comes together and where I want to add a layer to Neville's teaching that I think makes it even more precise and even more empowering. If your SP is you pushed out, if they are a projection of your own consciousness, then the connection between you and them is not an external thing that exists between two separate people. It is internal. It lives within your own consciousness. It is the relationship between your inner world and the projection of them that your inner world is continuously generating. And that connection, that internal energetic connection, cannot be broken by anything that happens in the external world. Not by silence, not by distance, not by a breakup or a separation or months without contact, because it was never located in the external world to begin with. It lives inside of you. It is generated by you, and it is continuous, whether you are in contact with them or not, whether they are responding or not, whether the external circumstances look promising or not. Now, here's where understanding the parallel reality framework makes this even more powerful. Across an infinite spectrum of parallel realities, every possible version of your specific person already exists right now. There's a version of them that is warm, available, loving, fully choosing you. And there's a version that says exactly what you have been longing to hear. There is a version where the relationship you desire is simply already the reality you inhabit. All of those versions are already there, always, right now. And because your SP is you pushed out, because they are a projection of your consciousness, the version you are currently experiencing in your outer reality is simply the version your inner world is currently aligned with, the version that matches your current root frequency, your current assumptions, your current self-concept. But the other versions, they are just as real, just as present, and just as available for you to start selecting right now. You don't need permission or proof to select them. You just get to decide. This is the version that I am now selecting. This is your free will and your birthright, and it's the power that most people never actually use. The connection to the version you desire has never been severed. It has never been lost. It exists right now, in the parallel reality where your inner world is projecting that version of them instead of the current one. Which means, and I want you to really sit with this, you are not trying to rebuild a connection that was previously broken. You are not trying to reach across a gap that opened between you. You're simply shifting which version of them your consciousness is now projecting, which parallel reality you are tuned to, which version of the connection is your current experience. The work is never out there. It is always in here, in the projection, in the consciousness doing the projecting in you. So if your specific person is always a projection of your consciousness, the next question becomes the most important one you can ask. What are you actually projecting right now? Not what you want to be projecting, not what you are consciously intending, but what your consciousness is actually generating and casting onto the screen of your reality in the form of this person. Because here's the thing. Most people trying to manifest a specific person are projecting from a very specific inner state. And it is not the inner state they think they are projecting from. They think they are projecting love, desire, the vision of the relationship they want. But underneath that conscious intention at the root level, in the subconscious blueprint, they are projecting the version of their SP that matches what they actually believe about themselves and about love. Every time there is an opportunity to create meaning to what your SP is doing or saying, this is where you do this, in the meaning you give. That's the subconscious projection, and this is the thing that most people cannot see. They are literally blind to it because it is the programming. Let me break it down. If you believe at the subconscious level that you will have to earn love, you will project a meaning onto your SP that looks like, yep, you have to earn love. And the version showing up will confirm your projection by being just out of reach, who gives you just enough to keep trying but never fully lands. If you believe at the subconscious level that love isn't safe, you will project a meaning onto your SP that confirms exactly that. Love isn't safe. So your SP pulls away just when things get close, who is available in some moments and then absent in others. If you believe at the subconscious level that you're not quite enough to be chosen, you will project a version of your SP who definitely reflects that back, who chooses other things over you, who doesn't quite see your value and worth and just isn't the way you want to be seen. This is not punishment. This is not the universe working against you. This is the mirror faithfully showing you more of you. This is simply the law operating with perfect precision. I had to get really honest with myself about this. The version of love I kept experiencing, the patterns that kept showing up no matter how much I grew, were showing me something about what I was projecting from the inside. Not from my conscious desire, from my root frequency of not being enough, of having to earn it, from the blueprint I was still carrying from childhood without even knowing it. And that honesty, as uncomfortable as it was, and it was uncomfortable, but that was the beginning of everything actually changing. So the question to sit with is not, why is my SP doing this? Notice if you're asking that question, it's normal, but we have to move beyond that. The question to ask is, what must I believe about myself in order to be projecting this version of them? What does this version of them tell me about what I believe at the root level about myself and about love? These are the uncomfortable questions you must be willing to ask yourself if you want to get real and stop playing the victim in this dynamic, because you are not the victim, I assure you. You are the powerful creator. But in order to take your power back completely, you'll have to be willing to take responsibility first. Not blame, but responsibility. And those are really two completely different things. These questions move the conversation from why won't they change to what in me is generating this. And that is always, always where the real work lives. Before I keep going, I want to pause for a moment, because if what I'm sharing is landing, if you can feel yourself recognizing your own projection in the version of your SP you've been experiencing, this is exactly the work I do with my one-on-one clients. We go into your specific blueprint, the specific subconscious assumptions that have been generating the version of your SP and everyone else in your life you keep experiencing. And we do the deep work to shift that projection at the root, so that the version of them your consciousness generates begins to match what you actually desire rather than what you have unconsciously created. This is not a surface level fix. I don't do surface level. This is real permanent shifts in what you are projecting from the inside. If you're ready for that, the link to book a free strategy call with me is in the description and in the pinned comment below. Let's look at what you're projecting and change it from the inside. So now that you understand what the energetic connection actually is and what you are actually doing when you engage with it, let me show you how to use it consciously. How to shift what you are projecting so that the version of your SP your consciousness generates begins to change. So here's the process. Step 1, stop relating to them as separate and start relating to them as your projection. This is the foundational shift, and this isn't a one-time shift. wish it was that easy. But you're going to need to practice this and catch yourself when you go back to seeing them as separate and making their own choices. Every time you catch yourself thinking about your SP as a separate person out there doing things independently of you, come back to this understanding. They are you pushed out. The version of them you are experiencing is a projection of your inner world, which means every thought you have about them, every assumption you hold about them, every belief you carry about what they think and feel and want is contributing to the version of them your consciousness is generating. This is not about controlling them. It is about taking full ownership and responsibility for your own projection and understanding that the only place you have any real power is inside and what you are projecting from. Step 2, examine the version you are currently projecting. Look honestly at how your SP currently shows up in your reality and in your mind. What version of them are you holding? Is it the version you desire, warm, available, loving, fully choosing you? Or is it the version shaped by your fear, your wound, your past experiences with them? Most people are unconsciously holding and rehearsing the version of their SP that matches their worst fear. Playing out the painful scenario after painful scenario, imagining rejection, anticipating unavailability, and every time they do, they are projecting that version more clearly onto the screen of their own reality. Become conscious of which version you are holding, because this is the version your consciousness is generating. Step 3, shift to projecting from your chosen self-concept, not from your wound. Here is the key. The version of your specific person that shows up in your reality will always match your self-concept. Specifically, what you believe about your worthiness of love at the root level. Which means the shift is not about trying to visualize a different version of them. It is about shifting what you believe about yourself. Manifesting an SP actually has very little to do with them, believe it or not. It's all about you, about your worthiness, about whether you are someone for whom love simply shows up and stays, about whether you are someone who is chosen, cherished, fully seen. When your self-concept shifts at the root, what you project changes automatically. Step 4, hold the parallel reality version of them. From the shifted inner state, from the genuine self-concept of someone who is worthy of the love they desire, begin to consciously hold in your awareness the version of your SP that exists in the parallel reality you are now choosing. Not the version you know from your current experience or past experience, not the version your fear has been generating, the version that already exists in the reality where what you desire is simply how things are. The version that is warm, available, loving, fully present, and already yours. You are not imagining this version into existence. You are selecting it. You are tuning your consciousness to the parallel reality where this version of them is already real. Step 5, trust the connection and release the need to manage it externally. Here's where most people struggle. They understand the teaching intellectually, but then they go looking for external evidence that the connection is working. They check their phone, they analyze the last interaction, they look for signs, they try to manage the external situation on many different levels. And every time they do, they are operating from the assumption that the connection is external, that it depends on what they do and what their SP does in the physical world. but the connection is internal. It is the relationship between your consciousness and your projection. And it is always working, regardless of what is or isn't happening in the external world. Trust that. Release the external management. Do the inner work and let the outer world catch up to the new projection in its own time. I want to speak directly to something that I know is a real challenge for a lot of people watching this video: the silence. The no contact, the unanswered messages, the absence of any external sign that the connection is real or that anything is shifting, the days and weeks and sometimes months where nothing appears to be happening in the physical world. I want to reframe what that silence actually is through the lens of everything we've just covered today. The silence is not evidence that the connection is broken. The silence is not evidence that your SP has moved on, doesn't care, or is choosing someone else. The silence is not the universe telling you it isn't going to happen. The silence is simply the current state of the external world, which is always the last thing to reflect an internal shift, not the first. Remember, your SP is you pushed out. They are a projection of your consciousness. And projections shift from the inside first. The inner world changes first. The outer world, including the behavior of your SP, catches up after. The silence is the lag time between the inner shift and the outer reflection. And how long that lag lasts is directly related to how deeply and completely the inner shift has actually happened. Which means the most powerful thing you can do during the silence is not try to break it from the outside, not to reach out to make something happen, not to analyze it or try to manage the external dynamic. No, none of that. The most powerful thing you can do is to go deeper on the inside, to keep doing the real work, to keep shifting the projection at the root. Because the connection is always live. It's always active. It is always working in the field of consciousness where it actually exists, regardless of what is or isn't happening on the screen of your external reality. The silence is not the end of the story. It is the space between the inner shift and its outer reflection. I want to leave you with something that I think is the deepest truth underneath everything we have covered today. If everyone is you pushed out, if your SP is a projection of your own consciousness, then what you are actually in relationship with at the most fundamental level is yourself. The love you feel for your SP is real. I'm not diminishing that at all. But underneath that love, generating that love, giving it its particular quality and intensity and significance is your relationship with your own inner world, with your own consciousness, with your own deepest beliefs about what love is and what you deserve and what is possible for you. Which means manifesting your SP truly, permanently at the root level is never really about getting another person to do something different. It is about coming home to yourself, about healing the places in your own consciousness that have been generating experiences of love that don't match your desire, about shifting the inner world so profoundly that what gets projected outward has no choice but to change. That is the deepest work, and it is the most important work you can do. You are always energetically connected to your SP. Not because the universe is holding the line between you, not because of some external thread that can be maintained or broken by circumstances, but because they are you pushed out. Because the connection lives in your own consciousness. Because what you project from within is always continuously generating the version of them you experience Drop in the comments what version of your SP have you been unconsciously projecting, and what did today's video shift for you? I really want to know if this was an aha moment, if this made everything click. And if you're ready to do this work at the deepest level to identify what you are projecting, shift your self concept at the root, and change what your consciousness generates, you can book a free strategy call with me. The link is down in the description and also in the pinned comment. Thank you all so much for watching this one. See you in the next one.